What is up, everybody? You are tuned into another episode of Thickness Protection Program. If you don't already know, I am the Thickness Pro. This is the podcast celebrating body positivity and where adult stars come to open up about whatever the got here sitting with me all the way from the Yay area, San Jose to be exact.
Yes.
Got my girl Jaidyn Venus. What's going on?
Not much. I'm happy to be in LA and everything. I haven't been, well, I was here last month working with Omaya, but I haven't been, besides that, I haven't been here in hella long, so I'm really happy to be back and stuff. I wish I was here for longer.
I deleted all my hoes for you, even folded all my plans with all the bros for you. Ain't that real? Ain't that real? Yeah, ain't that real? Ain't that real? I deleted all my hoes for you, even folded all my plans with all the bros for you. Ain't that real? Ain't that real?
Awesome. Yeah, it's really good to have you. You know, we've been going back and forth so much. I think I remember it was 4th of July, and that morning I was super hungover. We were supposed to do an interview, and then I logged on because I don't like to reschedule shit because my schedule's too crazy. I logged on, and then I was like, girl, I can't do this. So we just chopped it up, and I'm like, oh, she's so sweet.
Yeah, no, of course, honestly, 4th of July is I don't be doing shit anytime, anyway. So I was just chilling. Babies were swimming and shit. It was cool, but thank you.
Baby swimming for show. Okay, so I understand from, our previous conversations, you kind of got your foot into the adult industry through escorting. Can you tell us about your whole point of entry into this business?
Yes. So basically, I had been a full-time sex worker specifically since 2020, but I had already been, trapping or escorting aside from that prior. And then it was literally 4/20 of 2021. I had met somebody blue check type person. They were telling me why don't you do porn? You're really specifically you, I feel you would really thrive there because of just creativity stuff, because they had known me for a while, and I guess the way I was I was just oh yeah, whatever, I don't really know how to get into that because I didn't know anybody that could point me in the right direction. So I spent a lot of time reading online. There was yeah, and by the way, I did that before I started escorting because there's so many things. There's nobody to ask, but there are people that are amazing and considerate enough to put things together for how-to stuff or safety stuff for entry level people. And so I took a long time to read stuff about porn. Not even just porn, I was already doing OnlyFans, and then but I didn't take none of that seriously for real until I started to make real content, I feel at the end of 2021. And I had been wanting to do porn, but I just didn't know where to start. But then, one thing after another, I met people that really, really helped me with not just my following, but how to move around everything safely.
You know what? That's interesting. And you brought up a good point. There is no sex work for dummies manual out there. So I find one thing that's really unique about you in this business is that you have your college degree. You got a communications degree. So can you tell me a little bit about where you went, and then from completing your education, how you jumped into this?
Yes. This is probably my most told story. So I attended one of the most historical colleges on the West Coast in the Bay Area. It was such a remarkable experience, my degree and everything. It was just so hard to leave, not leave behind, but to transition into the genre, because I feel there's loose ends I didn't tie, because I just fell so deeply into sex work for a lot of positive reasons, and just the whole lifestyle that pretty much you just emulate it out over time really intensely. So I was in school when I finally got to university. A lot of my friends were on Backpage, and they were I would go out with them when they were at work, and then eventually I was okay, well, I just felt it was just natural for me to start doing it, because I've never really been I've always been a very non-conforming person. I've never seen something like that as problematic or detrimental. And so I started you know, just kind of like I used to go along with my friends to work, like with them. And then eventually, like, I was doing like more risky stuff, not unsafe, like sexually, but just like environmentally unsafe. And now, like, I bought like my first, like, more like my high end ad in 2020. I had just left school because of the pandemic. And then, like, from there, I started, like, that's when I really started making money at work. Like, consistent, like, I could get a consistent, it was almost like back page days because, like, the economy was way better in 2020 and stuff like that. And it was really hard though because, like, I have such an, like, I have this like huge, you know how I am, like, I have this like huge accountability to like humanity and, like, you know, ethics and, like, you know, the things I believe in, like, you know, Black Lives Matter. Like, I literally took a whole class on this. I literally took a whole Black Lives Matter like class, ethnic studies. Like, I'm an ethnic studies and communications major because I just like I just feel like I have to like serve the people, but then also, like, I had to get money for my family. Like, I'm a single parent, and then, like, take care of my grandma and stuff like that. So it was a lot. Like, it was like I didn't even get a moment to think of like how far it was gonna go.
You know, one thing that you touched on, you know, being a single mom and all that, how did your whole family like react to you getting into this and everything you do in sex work? Like, do they support you, or was this like super taboo?
So, like, it's so funny because half of my family knows, other half of my family doesn't know, and I'm kind of like not in the mood to tell them, but I know they'll find out, and I'm gonna just deal with that as it comes. And, like, I know that sounds like so scary, but the thing is, I've always been on my own. Like, I've always been forced to be like that, basically, outside of my grandparents being there for me. But, like, my family in Mexico knows, like, they're hella cool with it. And, like, some of my cousins here know, but I'm not scared. I feel like nobody would be surprised. I've always been like super open-minded, non-conforming. Like, nothing really shocks me. Like, so it would just kind of go with their narrative. I feel like I'm just going to let them find out naturally. The people that don't know, everybody else that knows is fine with it.
Yeah, I dig it. You know, to each his own. I mean, I've heard everything under the sun from like, oh yeah, my family like supports me, and, you know, just don't bring it up in front of them. But, like, yeah, it's interesting. I think, you know, as long as you have that open line of communication, I think you'll be okay. Now, I wanted to ask about, you know, somebody who's down with the thickness, meaning that I interviewed them not too long ago. My man Bones Montana, you got a scene out with him. Remind me what studio that was with, and then how was it like working with that dude?
So that was a BBW Highway, I believe, in like April. It was a really cool experience. He's super professional. I really appreciate that that ambiance about people, because people tend to like move away from the fact that this is a real job. I think it's easier for people that have other things going on to like remember that, but he was like probably one of the most professional people I've worked with. Like, just excelled performance wise, but just like outside of that, like on a personable level, like, he was super chill and respectful. I have nothing bad to say about him or the company. I always have such a remarkable experience with them.
Excellent. Shout out Bones Montana. Shout out BBW Highway. Okay. So, traveling for work, you know, you've been a lot of places. You know, you're down here in LA visiting, you know, sometimes you'll be out in ATL, you'll be so many places. Where's somewhere that you just really enjoy traveling to? And then, like, do you ever feel like worried for your safety as you're like moving state to state doing what you do?
So I have like states that have there's states that have like a more grandiose appreciation of me and like BBWs and stuff like that. That tends to be more in like the South and the Bible Belt South, which is a place that I do frequent, like, you know, every quarter, like every other quarter of the year. That plate, like, I go to the Carolinas a lot. I have a huge following in the Carolinas and a ton of support down there. And I do fuck with it because they're so family oriented and like community oriented. Like people here in Cali, they'll be like, what do you do for work? Like, like what, it's just all very like transactional.
Yeah. I feel like here in Cali, and I can only kind of speak for LA, is kind of like, they ask that just so like, can I use this person as a connection? Like, who does this person know? Well, let me run their rap sheet. Let me look them up on IG. And then down south, it's like, oh, hey, now here's a new face. Let me bake you a pie.
Exactly. Like they're like so interpersonal on an authentic level. Like you said, like here is so superficial. Like, and like I don't mind sharing things with people and like exchanging info here, but it's just like it's not wholesome like it is outside of Cali. Like I also really liked Atlanta. I've been to Florida like a couple times. I'm not the biggest fan, but I like Florida music and everything like that. But there, like itself, like I'm not a fan. I like New York too,
Yeah, I kind of feel the same.
Queens and Brooklyn.
I like Florida music, definitely. Like South Florida rap scene. But yeah,
It's not for me. Like
no disrespect. Shout out to all the palm tree and all the protectors in Florida, but yeah, we love you, Florida. Hey, let's go down in the DM, Jaidyn. What is the craziest, funny, most outrageous, out of pocket, like mortifying DM or email you've ever received?
So for like both sides of like my job, like I get really chaotic emails all the time, or like, so first of all, my DMs are closed. Like I don't even mean to be screwed up, but it's like I have to cut off some type of like vessel of communication because people just be bullshitting. Like they'll just be like, how much? Or like they'll just like how much? It's like, who are you? Like say, like introduce yourself. Like where, like super uncouth and everything. But like I get that. And then like people that just hit me up and like think that like, let's make a scene. And I'm just like, do you even know like how much work and like money goes into that? I'm not just talking about room and like lighting. I'm talking about like testing. Like people don't have any idea. Like they're really, they just really think that because everybody has a back shots video in their phone that we're all capable of being like adult talent. And so I get mostly like a lot of really entitled obsessive DM like emails and text messages, but my DMs are closed now because of all of that type of stuff, because I'm just like I need people to narrow down like how they can contact me. And it still be on bullshit sometimes, but sometimes people send like hella meaningful shit. They should just like try to follow my OF or actually support outside of just verbatim.
Yeah, one thing I've seen you post a lot is support your local sex workers. So I'm hoping like you can like let them know how to do it rather than just like shooting their shot in the dark or saying something offensive or like, saying something but like not acting upon it.
So like I think people need to realize that, especially like because there's not really like a way that people know to talk to sex workers, because it's just like a new phenomenon for it to be so mainstream, is that we are regular people. Like there's nothing about us that makes us above anybody. Like we have hella shit to answer to in our personal lives. Like it really, like, and we spend so much effort and time and money, especially like women. I can't speak for men because I'm not a man, but like to be the person that they are hella infatuated with and enamored with, like there's so much money that goes into that. I'm talking about nails, hair, like that's not even like self-care, that's maintenance. Because if I didn't like maintain myself to a certain caliber, people would not be like, that would not be a part of my branding. People wouldn't be all infatuated with me. Like I wouldn't say they wouldn't appreciate me, but there would be a different type of support. Like people think I take my job more serious when you're like polished a certain way.
You gotta maintain a professional appearance.
And it's a lot of pressure. Like I'm naturally very like vibrant and self-expressive, so I've always been like this, but people need to realize like you shouldn't even approach a sex worker in general, and like God bless your hearts if like you've done this and like you didn't mean any malintention, but like you should never be contacting sex workers if you're not in that moment supporting them in a way that is by their job definition. Like if you're contacting a content creator or just like blowing them up all the time, like liking all their pics, you should take it a step further and go to their like, see if they're on a tube site, have a fan site or something. If you're just like God bless everybody's hearts, I'm sorry, but like if you're following like 50 escorts, like 20 strippers and like 60 porn stars, like I hope you're supporting these people and not just like consuming and not ever spending money.
Yeah, guys. So dick out, lotion out, tissues out, but wallet out too. Sorry, had to. All right.
Great.
This is a segment I call Skin Deep. First of all, let me ask you this, Jaidyn. Have you always been comfortable in your own skin as a big, beautiful woman?
So like it's so funny to answer this because I've been uncomfortable while knowing it wasn't bad or anything like that. Like I feel like there's so much stigma growing up on the internet and like from kid to kid wherever, or like, you know, young person to young person, they're like, you know, fat girls are disgusting, and like there's all this stigma. But then like when you see a fat woman now, she's always like super polished or like with like the finest person you could imagine like most people being with. A lot of like fine ass men be with BBWs. There's just like, and so I feel like I've always kind of dressed like kind of like OD like sexy and like cute and shit. Like I've always been like that. So it's been like really natural for me. And so like being a sex worker and nonetheless like more in the spotlight, it's hella easy for me to like do this. I feel like a lot of time I'm just being myself. And like I'm glad that the world is becoming more not just accepting, but like actually embraces it and authentically understands that it's not bad to be fat. It's just a descriptive word.
There you go. Yeah, I think what this podcast does also is kind of shatter the stereotype of like fat being a synonym for ugly, you know, because there are beautiful fat women. Like, let's just put that out there now, you know. So it's great to see this evolution like for the culture. It's not all the way there yet, you know, with the body positivity thing, but like, you know, we're still in the efforts of making this journey. Yeah. Now the other part of Skin Deep, Jaidyn, that I gotta ask, this tattoo right here on your cheek, AR, what does that stand for?
This is like a family thing. Like I have a lot of family tattoos. So I have 4 face tattoos. I have this one, and then these 2 butterflies, which signify like the matriarch aspect of my family. And then I have JAL, which is harder to see on the side of my cheek, for Jalisco, which is like, you know, where my family derives from and everything. All my face tattoos honestly have hella significance.
And then the one on your belly that says Ramirez. Now, that's not for the rapper Ramirez, who's also from the Bay. Shout out to him. One of the first Palm interviews.
We love to see it.
Yeah, but talk to me about this one.
So, like, I have an angel with the AK-47.
That's fire.
Thank you. That shit hurts so bad. Like, my stomach tattoo was definitely faint worthy. Like, I was seeing stars. It was like 7-8 hours. This is like also big family thing, because I feel like there's a lot of masculine energy in a lot of the women in my family, and I feel like that's hella prevalent in me too. So there's actually a picture of somebody that has an AK, so that's why I have it on my stomach. But it's like somebody that passed on that was like one of the biggest influences in my life.
Fire. Draco on the belly, okay. Rest in peace to Draco the Ruler too.
You know the truth.
There you go. So, last but not least, Jaidyn, I gotta ask, biggest misconception of a porn star or sex worker?
I think people forget, like, just because we want to be compensated for our time, it's not in a malicious way where we don't care about fans or people that are interested in us, because we definitely do want the love. It just has to it has to be mutually beneficial, not because of money, but because that way I can show out for you when you show out for me, and your hard work and like all of your efforts like are for a reason. You're not just like talking into void. Like, we really do want people to be more like productive and like intentional when they talk to us. Like, we really do want to fuck with everybody that, you know, hasn't probably maybe like supported all the way, or like could be more supportive. Like, we care. It has to be intentional. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, same applies to, you know, people who submit their music to me. You know, as a blogger, you know, you just got to come correct and say who you are and say your intent of business, rather than, you know, just shooting in the dark. You know, so I think I don't know what it is about the internet that has, you know, a lot of guys all cocky thinking they can DM anybody, but it's the truth, because they can DM anybody. So yeah, Fellas, please do better. We're looking pretty fucking bad out here. All right. Jaidyn, thank you so much for kicking it with me. You know, we've been friends for a minute. Now we're like really here. So, yeah. All right. Let them know where they can follow you and stream all your content.
Okay, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. Okay, so I'm on X videos under Jaidyn Venus, and then also onlyfans.com/Jaidyn Venus. Twitter is JadeXXX Ways, and then my Instagram keeps getting deleted, so let's not even talk about that.
Well, there you have it. Jaidyn Venus is now down with the thickness. Everybody go check us out at Thickness Protection Program on Instagram with an _ at the end and all throughout, at Thickness Pro on Twitter, youtube.com/PalmOfficial. And yeah, everybody, thank you for getting down with the thickness.
We want thickness.